There's been no change in the number of people out of work in this region for the last quarter. The total is still 194,000. That's 6.6% of the workforce, the highest for 15 years. But there is some good news about jobs from the main ports on the east coast. A new report says they will need 1,400 new people every year.
At Felixstowe today, two of the world's biggest things. The new Stena passenger ferry, due to enter service on Sunday, was being put through its paces. It's the largest of its kind in the world. And just delivered on the quayside, the world's biggest gantry cranes. They're waiting to be lifted ashore as part of a big port expansion. Both ferry and cranes encouraging signs of new investment. Trade here went into freefall last year for the first time in the port's history, but now they're hopeful that some kind of recovery is beginning. Measures to cut costs are being eased.
A number of people in our business took career breaks last year. Most of them have now returned, although we are being a little bit cautious about recruiting additional people for the future.
A report out today says the haven ports of Felixstowe, Harwich and Ipswich account for 32,000 jobs. And long-term, they'll need 1,400 new recruits each year.
There is a lot of youth unemployment, particularly in the coastal areas, and clearly the existence of the ports and the logistics sector in that area will help us address those gaps.
Hundreds of firms serve the needs of the ports. This one in Felixstowe provides IT services to ports, shipping lines and freight operators all over the UK.
Over the last decade, 15 years even, we've grown consistently each year. So last year was the first year where there was a dip in that growth.
But the authors of today's report warn that to realise their potential, the haven ports need the government to provide better roads and railways. Richard Bond, BBC Look East, Felixstowe.
6 department stores across the region are to close and up to 300 staff will lose their jobs. The Vergo retail group, which owns the former Co-op stores, went into administration last week. The stores are in Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex. A woman in her 70s has been raped on a footpath in Essex. The assault happened between London Road and the New Hall estate just before 11 yesterday morning. The attacker was wearing a blue T-shirt with a yellow stripe on the arm or cuff. He's described as being about 5 foot 5 inches tall and of stocky build.
Hundreds of Hindu worshippers are expected in Clacton this month to visit a tiny temple set up in a spare bedroom. They're coming to mark a special holy month, which happens every 3 years. They say the temple offers something different. Katrin Nye from the BBC Asian Network joined some of them.
It may look like a scene from the banks of the Ganges, but these worshippers are actually on the Essex coastline. They're here because of a rather unusual Hindu temple nearby. The spare room of this house on Cohen Avenue was transformed more than 30 years ago because there wasn't anywhere to worship in the area. Since then, though, people have travelled for miles to see it.
In the last 30 years, we had about 60 to 65,000 people who came to the temple. And when people come to the temple, they are blessed in the temple, and then downstairs they sing hymns, they chant mantras, and they are so happy. They do everything here and they feel at home.
The coachload filling the Courier's living room today are here for Adhik Maas, a holy month in the Hindu lunar calendar that happens every 3 years. They've travelled from London because they say this place has a personal touch.
This town reminds me of India, because in India people are very, they welcome each other. So this is a special town.
It's so secret. We didn't know it was temple beside here in this little house. It's a big temple. So that's make me really, that place make me really special.
This beach, just a stone's throw from the Courier's house, is another reason why visitors flock here. Water is sacred in Hinduism, and that's what this ceremony is all about. The ceremony aims to capture the cleansing properties of the sea, even if it is a little chillier than in India. Katrin Nye, BBC News, Clacton-on-Sea.
A buyer may have been found for one of the biggest employers in Lowestoft. The offshore engineering company SLP, which employs 500 people, went into administration last year. Today, the Smulders Group of Holland confirmed it wants to buy it. British Transport Police are hunting a gang which used a JCB digger to steal cash point machine from the railway station in Manningtree. They used chains to pull the machine out of the ticket office. It was later found abandoned.
So Trevor Brooking has been in the region today as part of a scheme to encourage our young footballers to get better at basic skills. He was in Saffron Walden working with young children as part of the EUFA Grassroots Day. He believes it's very important to get them young.
You've only got to look at Barcelona, Spain, Brazil. Watch the World Cup this summer. The game's changing, it's getting quicker. Passes over a shorter distance along the floor. They don't give the ball away the ball too much. And so all those changes, we've got to make sure the youngsters in those early years get that basic technique.
A dog who helped in the aftermath of the Indonesian earthquake has been nominated for an award. Darcy from Essex Fire and Rescue spent 6 months in quarantine after her trip to Sumatra last year. Now she's a finalist for the Dogs Trust Hero Dog Award.
It's all a game to Darcy. To her, work is play. Enjoying a day off at home, she's back with her owners after spending 6 months in quarantine. And to make life even better, she's up for an award.
She worked very hard. It was in gruelling temperatures. It was like 90-odd degrees. It was also 90% like relative humidity. And it was gruelling conditions.
Darcy went to Sumatra in October last year in search of survivors from the earthquake. She worked closely with her handler in an area where around 500 people died. On her return, she was put into quarantine, sparking a petition to stop working dogs like her being locked up.
These search dogs don't go out of their handler's sight, don't come into contact with any other animals, so they know they haven't been affected by rabies, and they can test for it as well. So really, it's unnecessary.
Now it looks as though she could win an award for her efforts. She's one of 4 finalists who are up for the Dogs Trust Hero Dog Award.
I'm extremely proud. Just actually seeing her work in the environment that was out there, she really did do me proud.
Darcy will have to wait until June the 3rd to find out if she's won. In the meantime, she's got plenty of toys to play with. Felixstowe, BBC Look East.